Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thanks for staying for this session, which I believe is going to be very interesting and very exciting and up to the point. I'm Rugile Ndzukeviciute-Boze, the Director of Transport Innovation Association, and I'll be leading this session about digital transformation in transport and logistics in the case of eFTI regulation. First of all, I would like to say that this session is powered by EU4FT or eFTI for EU project, which is actually all about 9 European countries joining together to join forces and getting ready to synchronize this eFTI exchange environment and to synchronize the eFTI solutions that are being developed at this moment, at this point, just as we speak. And this project is financed by European Commission, the Connecting Europe Facility for Transport, and it is a funding instrument to realize European transport infrastructure policy. So in this project, we have 9 countries, as I mentioned, it's Austria, Belgium, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Italy, Lithuania, and Portugal. So, for observer status, we have Ireland, Netherlands, Spain, and Inland Navigation Europe. So actually really a broad consortium joining forces to develop eFTI gates and platforms and all that to get communicate to each other among countries just as we speak. But I won't reveal too much details because we have a special presentation on that by the project lead a bit later. But just firstly to introduce the session, we will have 4 presentations. 2 of them will be delivered by Estonian experts, and later we will delve to business side, and I will do the final conclusion myself and present the eFTI case roadmap for Lithuania. So without further ado, I would like to invite Ulrika Hurt to deliver the first presentation. It's implementing the eFTI regulation, the European perspective and its practical aspects. And really, Ulrika is an expert in this European Commission founded Digital Logistics and Transport Forum. She's an Estonian colleague of us in this project and in other previous projects. I met her at first online while actually while we were uploading this ECMR data in our previous project. So she's a real expert in the field, and she's going to talk about the European scene and where we are. So without further ado, I give you this and thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Rugile. Thank you, Lithuania Transport Innovation Forum, for having us. And as already said by Rugile, yes, indeed, we have not only us here, but quite many of us in Europe, a good experience on what we need for getting eFTI done. And I hope that today we can open more hearts and more of your brains and futures for getting FT done fast, not just in some future time frame, and get you reassured that it is doable, though we don't have all the elements that we need at this very moment. A few words about myself. Quite like said, I have been on the digitalization affair for quite a few years, and with European Commission, the Digital Transport Logistics Forum, and different other settings and projects. It's soon coming into 10 years, seemingly that I've been working on that with both the policy affairs, the legal affairs, the stakeholder affairs, and seeing that all the IT that we are dreaming about and that in our part of Europe we're very strong at, all the e-governance and e-identities, that we really can do the future like that, digital, across EU, despite for a little bit of hesitance that we currently might have in some of the member states. It still is what we have been doing, and we have getting a reassurance. And currently, we have just 2 days ago kicked off the FT4EU project, the same project that this session is hosted by, and this project will also have tangible results, quite like the previous prototype projects or other policy projects have had. But this one really will come to show us the real live solutions within the 2.5 years that the project will be ongoing. A few words as a reminder of the eFTI regulation. So the eFTI regulation, soon enough, we hope we don't have to spell it out anymore, but it is electronic freight transport information that is concerned. And it is, as it is already in place from 2020, but the implementation takes a little bit of time. It does oblige the European Union member states, by its time of coming into effect, now it's the 2025-26, to accept digital transport documents from economic operators if these operators decide to have digital documentation instead of papers. And for that, every EU member state will have a structure that will allow that to be done in a standardized way, meaning an economic operator, a carrier, freight forwarder, an industry that would like to operate their transport with digital documents and digital records should be able to do so using an FT platform, a specific tool in between and connecting different IT systems that a company is normally using. And this FT platform should be used and should be handling the data in a manner that is acceptable for every EU member state competent authority, customs, police, road control, whatnot. And each and every one of them should be able to use the information that the economic operators are showing them. And none of them should then take into account that these member states would have different requirements. The platforms are there, and the member states are there to work in a solid, harmonized network. And this is not a far future. This is more or less tomorrow that we have to do this. And as we speak, we are in the middle of getting an implementing act that brings more definitions and requirements for the member states, how these government gateways should be built up. So these systems are not there currently that the member states and competent authorities need. And we are hopefully getting that voted December this year, in a month. And all 27 member states by then would know exactly what to do. It's not a new thing. We do know that information already for quite a long time. I'll speak a few words of that as well. So it's not a surprise, but it is currently that we have the implementing act on consultation. So anyone who is interested, that the consultation period is just recently finished, but you can still submit your opinions. The opinions will be read despite the official period is closed or closing, happened 2 days ago. And this act, the implementing act, is publicly accessible. You can take take your time to read into that and see what is ahead. And with this, soon, based upon these requirements being adopted, we will get also the requirements and the exact description of requirements for the FT platforms. So all these private platforms that in the future will need to partner the public sector's IT systems in showing the information. So what is it then that we need to do with the FT, and what is the FT architecture? FT is not going to be mandatory for the economic operators, but also we do hope that a large number of this region's economic operators will, as soon as possible, start using the digital solutions. For that, we have created a structure where all the economic operators, or carriers, freight forwarders, transport companies, logistics companies, would be able to use these FT platforms and hold their transport data in the FT platforms, which will be quite like many transport service providers, transport information documentation and transport information systems will be private systems, so that you would be able to host and hold your own data and have all the transport documentation in a private sector, but on a more compatible and standardized format. And on the next level, whenever the competent authorities of any EU member state need to have that information queried, they would like to see the documentation. We still call it documentation, though it's data. The authorities would be able to use their own query network, the network of FT gates, which lead them to discovering at which of the private information systems, which of the FT platforms the data is. And there is no need to pre-inform none of the EU member states that your goods are going to about the content of the goods, in comparison to, for example, maritime single window or customs documentation that you have to upload everything in advance to some authority system. This is not the case here. The private FT platforms will have the information until this very moment happens that a competent authority, say the German road police or the Spanish customs, wants to see that the documentation of your active ride, then they would make a request towards that single documentation, towards that single shipment. If to visualize it graphically, then all across EU, we will have a very, very big cloud of different clouds and different IT systems, which locally in member states or locally in different industries can function on many different ways and many different structures. So there is not going to be a full harmonization of all the rules for all the different IT systems that we're having, but we will get only the information exchange standardized. And for that, those who are in the development of these systems, or those who are interested, and I hope that those of you who are here are more on that topic and perhaps are even developing or planning of developing an NFT platform or will be using one, then there is a short reminder that all of these requirements are based upon works that the European different member states representatives and associations and companies have prepared together. And all of these principles, how these IT systems should interact with each other, have been evolved, and all of this information is also available for you in addition to that implementing act that actually states all of it in legal terms. As well as all the requirements for the FT platforms are quite well described in a structured way, bringing together also the matter of how digital signatures could be compared, which structures could be used for handling cybersecurity, or how to leave traces and logs and notifications or user tracking, and also how to protect privacy, and also how to guarantee that GDPR is respected whenever we need to have this information shared or shown out across. And there is a lot of documentation that already has given us a pathway how to go forward. And we have an understanding in the EU for all the regions, which might be surprising, but from Spain to Greece, from Ireland to Poland. There is an understanding already since 2021 to 2 that this structure is the way to go. So if any one of you, or the ones that you reach out, say tomorrow, saying like, there was some presentation that 2025, everything is digital, and see all the EU member states agree, and they laugh at you, then stay strong and say that, yes, this is not an information that has been shared around and the media would know about it because they don't really care yet, perhaps that much. But the member states have agreed that this is the way to go, and agreed on the architecture and on the new way of sharing information, so that that we have a clear distinguishing between each and every member state, so that we don't have a central European system where everyone would load all their eCMRs or all their transport documents. And we also will not have the national databases that every country or every company has to upload their CMRs or the transport documents. But every member state will have an IT system, a query system, that only mitigates the query towards one single document that is needed. And the query mechanism allows to discover where that single particular document is that at this very moment is requested by the competent authority. And for doing the work well, and Eva will come and say very many words about it. So this is the project that connects the theoretical part that we've had before, kind of, and the real solutions. And for getting that done, we actually have a good roadmap that we evolved. And it is saying that within the big 27 EU, we have a region of Nordic Baltic, for which we have already for 4.5 years had very good coordination to see that all of our companies and all of our industries' interests are protected, and that all of our industries' best interests are covered, and that all of the solutions that our region's IT companies are capable of developing would also be compatible with what is required in the general 27 picture. And we have been rather successful, both taking our best knowledge and channeling it to the European Commission, and getting the requirements that we feel are the most worthy of being the global or the European requirements, to take them to the European Commission and to other member states. And we have gained the situation where the result, the implementing act and the future implementing act on FT platforms looks very much like we foresee it. And when we get these regulations and we know that we have made an influence, we have understood it, we all respect it, and we'd like to start developing and start implementing, then we need to have a good stakeholder, meaning every company's awareness of the potential and also of the necessity, but also the secure structure of that FT. And we have, starting from next summer, and we're finishing that plan exactly, but I have works starting off to make more logical awareness to each of the stakeholders, to have good onboarding, and to have by 2025, especially the Nordic Baltic region and our companies picking up the digital solutions when having shipments made towards Germany or Italy or Croatia or towards Spain or towards Norway or Denmark, who also will be on board around here, and have our region the most competitive on that. And the next works that we do, it is the FT gates. We will be coming back to that, and Eva will explain that this project is working on that the most. But we are still taking feedback for how these international networks might work the best. Everyone's contribution who is in IT, and I know quite a few of you, also the Lithuanians, and also the partners from other countries, that you would know how to make best suggestions also for the FT platform requirements. We're collecting them, we're building them over the winter, now here to spring. And what we also do the next steps beyond the EU. Every one of you perhaps is questioning, CMR and documents and all of that, very nice to have within the EU, but what about outside? This is taken into account, and also the pilots and observations and policy making is going hand in hand with the UNEC, which is responsible for the eCMR developments, as well as other transport modes, digital outlooks. And we'd say we organize the plans for what we want to do within the EU. We get the implementing acts clarified, voted, and agreed, the requirements clear, knowing that it already aligns with the global picture, as well as then, as we have them clear, negotiate to have them harmonized also beyond. Thank you.